Yo, what's going on, my people? It's your boy Uche again with another video. Let's talk about relationships, specifically same gender love and relationships. Living here in America, I've heard a lot of gay and bisexual men talk about their exes and in the situation of how they packed up their bags to move across the country to a whole different state, not even city, to go move in with their ex. And of course, these relationships never work out. It's always somebody, let's say like they're from New York or from LA and they moved to Houston because they were dating somebody. And usually this is somebody that they had only known for like a few weeks, actually, if we're being honest, maybe a month or 2 months. And then all of a sudden they quit their jobs, pack their bags and move across the country for this person. And me personally, I'm not judging, by the way, but I just think it's weird. Okay, I'm not packing up my bags and moving across the country for anybody. Hell, fucking no. Now, moving across the country and having somebody that I'm interested in living there could be an incentive. But trust me, the reason why I'm putting my house in the market, packing up my shit and going across the country is not for you. And literally nobody deserves that. And this is my opinion as to why that is. Why this is actually very common. This behavior, this mentality is very common, especially here in America with same gender loving men who are so comfortable with packing up their bags and moving across the country for another man. That's just my opinion, Chad. Okay, so don't get in your feelings. My personal opinion as to why this is very common, especially within the gay community, especially the younger folks, is because you really don't have anything going on for you here. Let's just be honest. This is no shade to you, actually. It's not just you. It's not just the gay people. This is just a lot of folks today. A lot of people are just living day to day, just kind of existing. They're not really living. They're just existing. You don't really have anything solidifying you here, okay? Most people just wake up in the morning, get in a car, sit in traffic, go to a job that they don't like, shout out to all the 9-to-5 people. We need 9-to-5 people, right? And live lives that are not fulfilling. A lot of relationships are, you're just tolerating each other. That's not really that deep, especially if you're in a closet or, still have some type of internalized homophobia. There's still things about your sexuality or even your being that you're still working on. You're not solidified in your own being. Because if you were truly solidified in your own being and you're very comfortable with where you're at, like super comfortable in the sense that it feels right in your body, mind, and spirit where you're at, I don't see any reason why you'd be so quick to pack up your bag and move across the country just for a man. It wouldn't be so quick. I mean, it could happen eventually. I'm talking like maybe like a year afterwards, maybe because both of y'all are so used to flying back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like a couple of years even. Where both of you are, each other for a while. You FaceTime a couple of times, you text all the time, you talk on the phone all the time, you take time visiting each other. You've gotten to see different sides of each other to the point where you feel like, you know what, man, I'm ready to make that sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice. But when you've only known somebody for only 2 weeks or 2 months, that tells me, the observer, that you don't have anything solidifying you there in your, where you're at. And I'm not just talking about like job or money or anything. Like, I'm talking about you feeling comfortable and well rooted in where you're at. Because if you did, you wouldn't be so quick to leave all that behind and go meet another man that you don't really know much about. Because let's keep it real, you don't. And that's why those relationships don't tend to last. You see, in the beginning of a relationship, okay, you are still in the in-love phase. And for the most part, it's just infatuation. Physiognomy, you're judging the book by its cover. You know what I'm saying? Because they look tall, dark, and handsome, or blonde hair, whatever the situation, whatever it is that you're into, Chad, 6-pack, big this and big that. You have an idea of them. You box them in, which is unfair to them and also unfair to you, but it's also more so a reflection of you, to be honest with you. 2 months is not enough for you to get to know somebody. So that in love phase is actually infatuation. And let's say you truly are in love with this person and it's not an infatuation. And love phase doesn't last, okay? For straight people, the average is 2 years. For straight people, heterosexuals, okay? It could be less or more. And for same gender loving people, it's actually significantly less because of a lot of the bullshit that we have to navigate through in our personal lives. And sometimes it can be weeks or months when reality sets in. With straight people, it creates the illusion that it looks longer because a lot of times within those 2 years, they usually have kids. And a lot of straight people tend to want to stick together for the kids, to get married for the kids, but they're not really as happy because a lot of that facade has worn out, okay? You don't know enough of that person in 2 months. Talking on the phone And FaceTiming and texting is not the same as living with the person in person, okay? Like within the same vicinity with that person every single day. I'm seeing you every single day. Like, look, my dear, when you see me on this thing, what's it called? When you see me on FaceTime, I have put on my makeup, I put on my wig, my dear. It's a whole different situation when you wake up next to me and my face is looking like Jesus is Lord, Father, Lord Almighty. And when I talk, my mouth is smelling. It's a whole different situation when you go to use the bathroom and you see that they took a shit and they forgot to flush the shit. Are you still attracted to me? Because these things are human. You get to see the human side of them. Again, like I talked about, there are two things: the stranger phenomenon and the human phenomenon. And for people who have not watched that video, I'm going to try to summarize what the stranger phenomenon is and what the human phenomenon is as well, and why it's very important that you don't confuse both of them. The stranger phenomenon is basically when you see somebody based on your bias. It usually is your bias. You put them in a box. You judge them based on what they look like. This is mostly a reflection of the world we live in. We live in a very vain world where, you know, everything is just all physical. Okay, if they're good looking, you know, automatically you think that they have this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're tall, dark, and handsome, you automatically think that they're a good lover. If she's yellow bone, light skin, have a big this and, you know, big booty, you automatically think that she's a good person. You make excuses for her fuck shit because she's pretty. You put them in a box. Conversely, when you see somebody who is not as attractive, you know, you disregard them because you don't find them attractive. You know, it could be like, for example, a black woman. Even though she's making sense, you disregard what she's saying because she doesn't fit the physical aesthetics, which is a reflection of your bias. That's a stranger phenomenon. All right, which is a reflection of your bias. And then you have the human phenomenon. The human phenomenon is when you get to know somebody, you see things about them that make them human. As a human being, they're going to do the wrong things, misspeak, make mistakes, embarrass themselves, you know, all kinds of shit, you know, like have bad breath, stink, have a bad day, get sick, you know what I'm saying? Have a bad day with a bad attitude. It's not all going to be dandy, whatever the fuck they say, you know what I'm saying? That's the human phenomenon. And if your love for this person, so-called love, is not rooted on anything solid, as in it's superficial, eventually that look will fade and they'll just start annoying you. It'll just become like literally all the things that you used to laugh about in the past that you thought were cute, well, it will just start annoying the shit out of you, okay? Because it was superficial. It was built on nothing to begin with. Perfect example with celebrities, okay? For the most part, most people will never see celebrities except on your screens, you know, like your cell phones, online, or when you go to their, you know, concerts, or, you know, when you're watching their music videos and things like that. As a result, you put them in a box. Say Nicki Minaj, for example. Nicki Minaj is not a real person. That is an alter ego. It's a performance. It's an act. That's how she makes money. She's a performer. The real person is Onika Tayamaraj, okay? When you watch Nicki Minaj in her music videos, you're not seeing the actual person. She's giving you a performance. This is what funds her lifestyle, okay? This is totally different. If you really want to know the person, go ask Safari. Go ask Mick Mills. Go ask Petty Zoo, whatever the fuck his name is. Go ask the people that know her on a personal level, because she's a sister, a wife, a mother, a friend, a neighbor, a whole different side of her. But she has to give you this performance, which is not real. This performance of Barbie Tins or whatever the fuck, or Barbie, whatever the fuck it is. It's not real. That's not who she really is. I know the Barb's not trying to hear that, chat, because I know these Barbs, whoo, chat, can't tell them shit about their queen. But it's a whole different situation. When you get to know Nicki Minaj, you get to see a whole different side of her, okay? This is why, you know, I'm not trying to talk down on her. This is why she tends to it seems like she's always beefing with these rap girls who used to look up to her because they were used to seeing her on the screen. Now getting to know her in person and see the ego, because I know all these celebrities are narcissistic as shit. So when you have big egos in the room, it becomes a hot mess. And the human phenomenon kicks in. But I can elaborate on that on a whole different perspective and a whole different episode. I'm not trying to bore you with that, but that's the difference between the stranger phenomenon and the human phenomenon. So I say all that to say 2 months is not enough, okay? It's not enough because you are not in love with this person. 2 months is not enough for you to fall in love with somebody, even if they're literally your neighbor. That's not enough, okay? You have to see the person's 5 seasons. I've talked about the 5 seasons. They're neutral seasons, which is usually the default if they have a sound, healthy mentality. The season when they're up, the seasons when they're down, the seasons when they're high, the seasons when they're low. And I've broken that down on a couple of videos in the past. Check out the rest of my videos. 2 months is not enough, especially when this so-called love is not built on anything solid. True love comes from within. Okay, unless you love yourself genuinely, authentically, unapologetically, unconditionally first, you will not be able to find this in somebody else. And when you do that, when you love yourself unconditionally first, you are comfortable in your own being, where you're at, and you will not be so quick to leave all of that behind so quickly and move. I'm not saying that you will not move. Yes, people move all the time for all kinds of reasons. Shit, I've moved a couple times when there are opportunities, but you move when your spirit tells you to move, not for dick. Okay, so work on yourself. Therapy, okay? My people don't like therapy, especially Africans. Therapy, therapy, therapy. I talked about therapy so many times. Therapy doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional form of therapy where you sit there and lay down and, somebody's writing some shit on the God knows what, piece of paper. That might not work for you. That might work for somebody else. But there are different forms of therapy. There's coachings out there. I'm a life coach, for example, where I focus on African LGBTQ men and women as well. And I'm able to relate to them because that is a reality that I know, and they also know that reality and they appreciate it. So the whole traditional form of coaching or even therapy may not actually work for them. So you have to shop around. And if you're not really into the meeting somebody one-on-one, you have to expand your minds. There's so many different podcasts out there, so many different YouTube videos out there, so many different books out there. There's some people like to read. There is so much information as to how you can actually come back home within yourself first and make peace with yourself first. Come back home within yourself in body, mind, and spirit. So that way, when the wind blows from anywhere each way, child, you don't just blow with it. I also want to add that if a man that you haven't known for that long, let's say like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe even like 2 months, offers to move for you, okay, move across from their state or their country to move in with you, that's a red flag, a red fucking flag. Because where are you moving to? Where? Because it ain't my house. I don't fucking know you. We don't know each other. Where are you moving to, my dear? So it's a red flag, in my opinion, because it's not giving soldier material. It's not giving grounded. Because if you are truly a soldier, you will be well grounded in your own battalion and not so ready to just leave your battalion behind and go to somebody else's camp. Because like I said, I'm not moving to my house, so yeah, you're not Lance. Hell fucking no. Because run for your life. Father Lord Almighty. However, if he is considering scoping out the area to see if it's something that he can see himself living in and checking out the place with himself in mind. And also, of course, you in mind as well. But like focusing as well on his own being. That to me, okay, is doable. But it wouldn't be after like a few days or a few weeks or a few months. This is something that happens down the line. After both of y'all have taken time to go back and forth, like with each other. Like they come down to your state and city. Maybe y'all stay together for like a week or a whole month or something like that. And back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. It wouldn't just be something that just happens overnight. Okay, that's red flags. And like I said, those relationships don't last. They just don't last. Okay, if they're being honest, they'll keep it real with you. As soon as I got there, he started cheating and this and that. And the interesting thing is, a lot of these people in these so-called love relationships, they still fail to hold themselves accountable. It's always them. Oh, he changed. He's this. Like I'm listening to hear the part where you look in the mirror, like because. Don't you understand that it takes two to tango? If you are of sound, healthy mind, okay, you wouldn't have been so quick to pack up your bags to go meet with somebody that you don't know all those things about, okay? You should have waited, worked on yourself first, waited to see other aspects of their being before you decide if this is actually something you like to invest in. And me watching you, listening to you, not judging you, but also picking up on what I'm seeing. The fact that you lack the accountability tells me that you still are a sucker. Just keep it real. Because accountability first and then responsibility. So the fact that you don't hold yourself accountable means that there's no responsibility to rectify the reason why you fell for that to begin with. And I think that's so sad, especially when I see a lot of young people who just throw their lives away for nothing. Please work on yourself. Be cool and please work on yourself and stabilize in your own being where you're at first. Then you can let somebody else in, because you cannot give what you don't have and you cannot receive what you don't give. This is a law of reciprocity. 2 months. 2 months is not enough. Months actually is not enough at all to get to know someone. And even at that, you hardly even know them, because people are dynamic. You're constantly changing. The point of a relationship is both of you grow together. You pour into me and I pour into you. You don't stay the same. Literally no human being stays the exact same. Uche yesterday is not Uche today. And Uche today is not going to be Uche tomorrow. You're constantly growing. So if your partner is not helping you grow and you help them grow, then what the fuck is the point of the relationship? And that takes time for you to understand if they're the right partner for both of you to grow together. Anyway, it's just my opinion. I could be wrong, Chad, but you know what I'm saying? That's my opinion because I've observed this shit all the time. Like I said, you would not catch my black ass packing my bags and getting on a plane or getting on some ship or whatever the fuck it is, moving across the country or to a whole different continent or country for some other dude. Hell motherfucking no. You know who's doing nonsense. But we're talking good, Shy. Uche, peace and love.